Hello, hello, hello.
We're live.
Yep.
Yeah, we're live. All right. How's it going out there, everyone in podcast land? How y'all doing out there? We are live for a second episode. Champions League preview is the name. Episode 2, Champions League preview. Name of the title. So, yeah, we're just going to discuss pretty much Champions League matchups into the quarterfinals. Some interesting matchups and probably some locks for some of the teams, like Bayern and Barcelona look like they pretty much are into the semifinals, but you never know. So we're going to discuss the Champions League games, and we're also going to you tweeted it too. I got your tweet too,
dude. We're gonna tell what happened with Lazio.
So I was gonna get on it right now. So yeah, all right. So the way we're gonna start our shows from now on looks like we're gonna have an icebreaker. So first, let's get a word from our sponsors. And back to the podcast. So yeah, that
crickets. That's our sponsors. We got no sponsors.
That spot is reserved for Puma. So just
no fairness. That was only a 5-second slot. I'm pretty sure Puma wouldn't want that. We gotta give them at least 30 seconds.
They get 25 seconds for Puma.
Mm-hmm.
Send me a Milan jersey. I might give you an extra 5. So I might bump it to 30.
Pretty sure if you got sponsored, you get a Milan jersey either way.
I'm pretty sure, but I don't know how it works.
You get like an Italy jersey, even though they're not in the World Cup, which is pretty funny.
That would actually be hilarious. Send me an Italy jersey. But yeah, okay, no, so yeah, icebreaker time. So Lazio FC team in Italy. And for anyone who doesn't know, Stefan de Vrij is out. He's gone to, I believe it's Inter. They confirmed it last week. He will be going to Inter on a free in June there. But the big icebreaker to say, what was funny about the situation was Lazio had to still pay their $2 million for de Vrij. So for many of you who don't know, a lot of teams, smaller teams, if they don't have the money, they pay in what's the word? Not amples.
Increments,
installments, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
They pay in installments. So Lazio was sending the final $2 million in installments to Feyenoord. So they sent it via email. I actually didn't even know you could send money via email.
Yeah, you can.
I didn't know it was a thing. I feel so old.
You are old.
I feel like this old man who's like them Snapchatters and email money senders. I don't know anything.
Dude, you would make, you should go on Italian Football TV and you could be one of their no-nos.
Oh my gosh. I think it's their no-nos. I'm not sure. If his no-nos are like French or something like that. I forget. But no. So anyways, they sent the final $2 million, wired it through via email, sent the transfer, and they're like, okay guys, we're all good, paid you $2 million off, and Feyenoord were like,
It's me.
What's up?
Speak.
What are you doing?
Speak.
So anyways, Feyenoord was like, yo guys, we didn't receive any money. And they're like, what are you talking about? Well, we sent you that $2 million. What happened was they were actually scammers. I don't know how they scammed them, but hacked either Feyenoord's email or Lazio's email, and Lazio actually sent the $2 million to another fake email account, and the scammers walked away with $2 million. Now, I'm sure they will probably be caught in the future. I'm sure they're not going to get away with it. But Lazio were scammed $2 million in allocated funds because of these email scammers. So I thought it was a little funny story there. They paid $2 million, the final $2 million for a guy who's going to be gone in June. So that's pretty hilarious when you find out that de Vrij still costing them money and he's leaving for free. So I thought it was a funny story to begin with. So anyways, Champions League. Hell, might as well get onto it. Champions League. Mm-hmm. Who do you want to talk about first? Bayern?
We should probably talk about Juventus Real Madrid because Bayern just already through.
Juventus Madrid. Well, I was gonna say that for last because the best matchup. But yeah, okay, we can talk about Juventus Madrid.
Actually, no. Let's leave that last. maybe we should clarify on why we think Sevilla is going to be a blowout. You know, because like everyone's like, hey, Sevilla beat Man United, but Man United, with some of the best offensive attacking talent on the planet, decides to field an entire defensive team on a Sevilla side who had conceded consistent games, 4+ goals in the past like 4 or 5 games at that time. And it's just like, it's a team that you have, they're leaking goals like nothing, and you sit back against them. Like, just poor tactics. And then, you know, coming up, Bayern's, they're not afraid to come at you. Like, they'll put their team, they'll put the pressure on, and they'll put the goals in. Like, you know?
Ooh. I just realized, I don't think I taped explicit.
Okay.
So we gotta watch what we say, or we take it down.
I almost swore. So for all the children out there watching, swear words are bad because your parents... People need to grow up and can't accept that words are words and that context matters. But if you say a bad word, it's bad. But when you actually say, you can like say words in a very rude context, but it's very eloquently spoken. It's okay, you know, because double standards. People are hypocrites. He's like, that's not what we're talking about.
Just felt the need to share that with everyone.
I'm just saying, people need to get over themselves. Oh my god, you said a bad word. People get more offended by bad words than murderers and stuff.
Well, hey, my only concern is this thing getting taken down. That's my only concern. So, anyways, yeah, I guess we gotta watch ourselves for this one. Anyways, okay, so yeah, let's talk about Bayern and Sevilla. Forget it. I might as well talk about Bayern and Sevilla. Bayern just clinched Bundesliga title this weekend after pretty much just... I can't even... we didn't put explicit. This is going to be hard. After smashing Dortmund on the weekend, beat them 6-0. It was actually 5-0 heading into the first. It was 6-0. 6-0 they won. It was 5-0 heading to the first. And Bayern have pretty much found new life under Heinkes, right?
Yep, Heinkes.
Yep, Heinkes. They pretty much found new life. Thomas Muller has pretty much been reborn in that midfield area, their central midfield area, there with James Rodriguez, who looks like an absolute star again. He went to Madrid, lost his way, and he's made his way back to Bayern, and looks like an absolute stud.
Yeah, and they're obviously, because he's performed that way, they're willing to pay the no, not buyout clause, but you know, the
55 million.
That was 54.
Was it 54?
It's around that, but like it's, you know, they loaned him out for a year, and you know, we like him. We're gonna get him. He's been great. You know, he left because of Ancelotti. Then he goes to the Bayern with Ancelotti, and he just doesn't do well there.
He was first because Ancelotti's final year at Madrid. They bought Rodriguez, brought him to Madrid. Then Zidane took over, and he hasn't really played since. So he won 2 Champions Leagues, but he was pretty much on the bench for both of them. And now he's on his way. Went to Bayern, has been excellent and showed his class. So, yeah, looks like Bayern are going to pick him up. And really thinking about it, 54 million is a bargain for a guy like James Rodriguez. He's still pretty young for the most part. I believe he's 25 or 26. Still relatively young. And just looks like a star. There you go. We still have not gotten bigger mic stands. That's still an issue here.
Nope. Yeah, we gotta work on that.
Absolutely. So, anyways, yeah. So we are looking forward to that one. Bayern pretty much look like they're through. Sevilla, coached under Vincenzo Montella, the former Milan coach, who... You know what? Hey, they beat United, whether or not it was bad tactics from Mourinho. Fair enough. Did a number on United. Ben Yedder, the absolute star.
The guy is underrated.
Well, yeah, he was rewarded with a call up to France, which is
finally after how many years under the radar when he played for Toulouse.
I mean, France is so stacked, though. France is so
at a time where they didn't have that depth in the striker position.
When did they not have depth in striker position?
No, but at a certain point, Ben Yedder, he was interchanging between attacking midfielder and striker for Toulouse, and he was killing it. He was playing really well in the league, and he hasn't been rewarded with call-ups. You know, like, you want a player with consistency.
You know who else hasn't been called up a lot, which is kind of really surprising, is, who's that striker from Bordeaux who's been doing really well? The Prevost, or whatever his name is? I forget his name, but he's been quite well.
I've never heard of the guy until this year.
Yeah, he's been a lot. He's been around the league, but yeah, this year he's been stepping up. But I mean, France is so stacked. I mean, when guys like Lacazette aren't even like guaranteed on the team, I mean, that's just incredible, the amount of depth France have
this year. Last World Cup, Lacazette should be on that team.
Last World Cup, and even Euro. Should have been on the team during the Euro as well, Euro 2016.
And that whole conspiracy behind that's all up for debate. But you know, it's a shame when you have players that are that talented that you know, they don't get to see the field, especially in big tournaments when they've earned their place. You know, I've been watching Arsenal as much this season, but according to Wenger, which isn't really saying much, but the reason he's not playing him and why he'd rather play Welbeck, or I'm already getting ahead of ourselves for Europa League, is he said himself that he just doesn't have that competitive edge. And I haven't really seen him play when he played for Lyon in the Europa League in the past years. So I don't know whether or not that's actually true, but at the same time, how do you think he's going to get that? He needs to be involved and immersed in it to be able to be on that stride.
He's not super aggressive. He lacks, to be fair, that killer edge. Yes, like when you watch Cutrone, he will go through a player to score. He has no problem bulldozing someone. You watch guys like Lewandowski and Aubameyang when they brought him in. You know they have no problem running through someone to score. And you watch Lacazette, and he's more like, I'm going to prance around this guy to get around him. I'm not going to go through him or finesse my way through. And I think that's what Arsene Wenger's talking about when he says that. And, you know, yes and no. Lacazette, he's playing an unfamiliar style at Arsenal. He wants to make those run in behind. And he pretty much wasn't given that for the very first part of the season. He was pretty much being utilized as a false nine, which is just what he's not. And then they brought Aubameyang in and pretty much gave Aubameyang free roam. So it's a little unfair to Lacazette, but you know what? He's a talented player. And
but here's the thing: if you, this is what I never understood, and I know we're off topic here, but like, what's the point of buying a player for what? Did he come to Arsenal for 40 mil?
40 mil? Way more than that. Wasn't it more than that?
Dude, I don't remember, but like but you know, you get the point. You get the point anyway. But you buy a player for that much, and then you don't play him in their utilized position. It's like when they buy a player for a fortune, and they play him. It's like with United, when they bought Di Maria and with Pogba, they bought him to play a certain position, and they're not playing them there, and then they're wondering why they're not performing at the same level. Well, one, you can also say the style of play isn't helpful to them. You know, it doesn't let them flourish. But on top of that, like, why do you buy Pogba for that much and play him as a CDM when he really started shining? Is when he started playing more offensively higher up the pitch for Juventus. And same with Lacazette. Like, you have a player for you play for Lyonnais, and then he's playing a Fekir and he's running in behind. Why don't you play him there? I'm sorry. You know, like, you got to give him something. You can't just, and then you can't be critical of the player for not playing your style, which you're not, like, you bought a player who does this, and you're upset that he doesn't do the complete opposite of that.
Arsene Wenger has been known for that, though. I mean, look, Welbeck's a striker, and he's playing Welbeck at left mid. It doesn't make any sense, but he's playing him there. Last season, he was playing Oxlade on the left, which didn't make sense. Doesn't want to play on the left. Played him on the left and failed miserably. And he plays guys like Bellerin, Monreal's playing center back, just no business playing center back, and just constant moves like this. You look at and you're thinking, anyone with brains could do a better job, but it is what it is. And Arsenal will save for another time. Gonna be doing a Europa League preview on Wednesday, so we can talk about Arsenal some more and their extravagant failures on another, not terrible season, but not fantastic season. But anyway, Sevilla, Bayern, pretty much not really much to talk about. Pretty much why we want to talk about them first, and next will obviously be Barcelona and Roma. But the thing with Sevilla, and I give them props, they knocked off United, which was something not many people thought would happen. Did a great job, and I remember there were multiple jokes about Roma drawing Sevilla, and what would have happened if they would have drew each other. That would have been unbelievable if Roma would have drew Sevilla. That would have been something else. Imagine either Roma or Sevilla in the semifinals.
That would have been just...
what a joke that... Well, not so much of a joke, but like that would have been nuts to see them go through.
It just more to do with the style of play.
No.
Like the teams that are, there's individual talent there, but, based on the style of play, it doesn't really... In all fairness, Roma has a better overall team. Like, they have much more of a unit this year. Like, Dzeko is still putting goals in.
Yeah.
Nangolan's a boss. My issue with Roma for the first leg is that there's been reports of Nangolan being ready for the first game. I don't know how bad his injury was, but I've never been a fan of, rushing a player in for a big game, because next thing you know, he's going to be out. I'd rather have that player for the second leg well rested and better, or, like they have depth in midfield. They should use that depth. And, they shouldn't waste away a player like Nangolan, who's their captain. Because next thing you know, they play him and they risk injuring him more, which affects their season and their Champions League. Like, you know what? Like, if anything, if he actually is fit, or like, like he has still a little knock, put him on later in the game. Like, don't start him right away and risk another big injury, because it's not the final. If it was the final, maybe I'm still against it, but it's justifiable to a certain extent. But there's two legs.
Well, I think that's more in the player than the actual team. Remember Di Maria, why he left Madrid when he wanted to play for Argentina? And Madrid was like, well, don't play him in the final. If he gets injured, it's on your hands. But Di Maria's like, what? It's the World Cup final, man. I'm going to not play? Like, come on, man. Like, it's just one of those things, right? So I think it's more so on the player.
Here's the difference with Di Maria. Like, Di Maria was recovering from injury that season, right?
The last season at Madrid, he had a knock early on in the World Cup. That's what I think, in the quarterfinals, I believe it was. And they didn't want him to play and agitate it more. And he wasn't happy with the club, but again, that's, to me, it might just be more in the player. Players don't want to miss big games, and understandably so. Or it could, frankly, be the club rushing him back. Who knows, right?
Here's the thing about Di Maria. They could have... Actually, no, I don't want to say that, because Argentina had a terrible World Cup. It's like when Portugal won the Euros. Undeservedly so, won the final, and even made the final.
They didn't have a terrible World Cup. They didn't have as good a World Cup as people were making it.
Well, no, you look at a team in Argentina with the amount of talent that they have on that team in positions.
It's the way they're set up. It's the way they're set up.
They're too focused around Messi. It's like Messi. Oh, I'm like, sorry. You have all these other players. You have Sergio Aguero. You have Paulo Dybala. You have...
Not at the time, they didn't.
No, but now.
Yeah, now they do. Oh, Dybala and Icardi aren't even guarantees for the World Cup. That's the best part. They're not even guarantees.
Dude, they're playing... I don't know what happened, but the friendly, they played Cabello. He's on the bench for Chelsea. Why are you playing Cabello? You have what's his face from Real Sociedad. Yeah.
Geronimo Rulli.
He's killing it. Why don't you give him a start? Like, I don't know if he's actually playing for Argentina, but he should be playing for Argentina come the World Cup.
Yeah, I think he's a guaranteed starter for Argentina. But yeah, you look at... I find it funny when guys like Benedetto from Boca Juniors are like pretty much guaranteed spots, but guys like Mauro Icardi aren't.
But that's the problem. That's the same thing that happened with Brazil. It's like when they brought Joe and Fred to the World Cup. Like, why are Joe and Fred there?
And Lucas doesn't get a spot.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know how Firmino didn't get called. Like, how long did it take for Firmino and Coutinho to get called up to that Brazil team?
Yeah, and
they're performing superbly. And that was more due to politics with Brazil. I don't know with Argentina.
Well, look at the U.S. too. How many U.S. players weren't called from overseas, and they had like all these homegrown players that were terrible. Terrible players.
Here's the thing with the U.S. The U.S. doesn't have, like, they're not, if you compare it to other world teams, they don't really have the more developed talent.
Well, no, I'm not, again, yeah, you're not going to compare it to the U.S. to Brazil. That's just not going to happen.
Here's the difference between the U.S. and Brazil. Brazil players are really branched out in different leagues. The U.S. not so much. They have, like, a couple players playing in a couple big leagues.
It's becoming more and more big.
No, but, like, majority of the U.S. players play in the MLS. So even though I disagree with it, I can see the standpoint that the coach is coming from. They want the players to, that play each other with the league. They know how each other play, so they're more comfortable playing with each other. Which is kind of fine, but it doesn't work that way.
Well, to leave guys like Fabian Johnson off the team because he's playing in Germany doesn't make any sense. Because Christian Pulisic's there.
Mm-hmm.
Why is Fabian Johnson left off the team? Why are certain players, because they're playing in leagues, left off the team when they're clearly more talented than the guys playing the MLS? I didn't get that one.
We should just not title our podcast because we're supposed to talk about Champions League, but we always like whatever.
We should just title it the whatever we want to talk about podcast.
It's like every episode's the same thing. Stuff, more stuff, some other stuff, some interesting stuff.
This is why we need notes. I think we gotta start preparing some notes.
No, but it's more. It's
what's actually
just
nice?
Get stuck on topics though.
Well, no, you should do because Kyle does this on the show. What you do is you don't limit yourself, but set like a time of how long you're going to talk about a topic. So be like, hey, we're going to discuss Roma and Barca 10 minutes or something like that, right? Or like at estimated time, right? Mm-hmm. It's not a bad idea, something like that. But no. Oh, actually, there was one question I wanted to ask you though. What do you think? Who do you think probably had the biggest embarrassment when it came to not qualifying for the World Cup? Which one was the biggest embarrassment? Italy, Ivory Coast, Chile, or USA?
Wait, I didn't know about Chile. Didn't make the World Cup.
Chile didn't make the World Cup. Ivory Coast didn't make it. And obviously the Dutch, but the Dutch not so much.
The Dutch, they're stuck in the past. They need a revamp.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you're going to agree with me with when you say you're probably going to disagree with me on this one, or maybe you won't. I'd say Chile.
Chile?
I'm sorry. That Chile team, I was going to have as my dark horse or contenders for the World Cup. Like, that team, very well-rounded team. Like, it's not super stacked, but they have some players that stand out. You have Arturo Vidal. You have Sanchez there. You have Bravo, who hasn't been really playing much for City, which might have been a factor. But, like, you look at that team, they're very well-rounded. They play really well against each other. They have a really good system. Right, I would not be surprised if that team made like the semis. Like, and there's the team isn't like they're like their later prime. Like, so if anything, this is like their last tournament, World Cup tournament to actually like make a name for themselves.
It's funny too because it was their last tournament in their prime, and now it's pretty much gone.
I have to say, Chile heads like what you saw Italy a mile away. Just poor management, calling up the wrong players. Bad system. Like you have there's problems with the FA in Italy. There's so many issues. Like this is a long time coming.
Yeah,
Chile just kind of threw you. I didn't even know. That's how much it threw me off guard.
Well, Chile was probably the biggest surprise. I mean, because they were
a shoo-in, to be honest.
They were the second two-time Copa America champions. They were finalists. They lost to a German team, which was a fairly good German team in the Confederations Cup. Pretty sure not many people expected Chile not to make it, but I still think biggest fail is the U.S. I think if you look at the quality of teams the U.S. had to play and the quality the U.S. have, hands down, probably the biggest embarrassment to not make the World Cup.
Well, based on your like, based on like how you're doing it, yeah, I'd agree with the U.S. too. But in terms of teams that should have made it, it's the context of what you're. I didn't.
Well, if you go by that too, then Ivory Coast. If you go by that standards, then I think Ivory Coast is more of a shoo-in than Chile.
Why'd you say that?
Well, because you look at who Chile has to play, it's not exactly super easy. Not saying that Chile isn't more than more realistic. I can't think of the word. But you look at who they have to play. I mean, they have to play Brazil twice, Argentina twice, Colombia twice. They're not exactly easy teams. Peru really gave a fight and qualified for the World Cup because of it. I'm missing a team as well. Copa, the South America. I'm missing Uruguay. 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 I mean, those are 4 teams right there. Uruguay, Colombia, Brazil, and Argentina. They have to play them twice. And then Peru, who was a tougher team than many people thought they would be, came out and really surprised a lot of people. Really gritty and tough to play against. So, it's not so much that Chile doesn't, because they have the team to be there, and they are a very strong and tough, complete team that get down and dirty, gritty team.
And they have a great unit. That's like one of the best things about Chile. They work as a great unit.
Absolutely, but like I said, based on, for me, embarrassment, like I said, had to be like you factor everything in: matchups, who you play, qualify against, the quality of your team, the how many losses and wins, how many goals, how well you played, and you factor all those in. In the U.S., to me, has to be the biggest embarrassment. You're playing teams like Panama, Honduras. Your toughest opponent, realistically, Mexico. I mean, I guess technically Costa Rica has become a big team. Technically, in the CONCACAF, technically Costa Rica is a tough team.
Well, yeah, so, CONCACAF.
Technically CONCACAF, Costa Rica and Mexico are probably the U.S.'s toughest opponents. And you look at who they had to qualify against. I mean, Honduras, Jamaica, Panama, and they couldn't qualify 4 spots. You get 4 spots to qualify, and you couldn't qualify against those teams?
Yeah.
I mean, that's tough, man. That is really, really difficult to justify that. Like, Italy's was bad, don't get me wrong. Italy went up against Sweden, but Sweden easily puts all those other teams aside, but maybe apart from Mexico, who's probably a better team on paper. But realistically, the U.S. should have not had an issue. Okay, if you qualify second or even third behind Costa Rica and Mexico, at least it's acceptable. You qualified. You're fine. You didn't have a great qualifying, but you're in, at least.
They didn't have the wall.
They didn't what?
They didn't have the wall.
They didn't have the wall. Trump didn't build his wall yet.
That's not what I was talking about. I was talking about Howard.
The wall. I thought we were talking about Trump's wall. I was like, now we're talking about politics.
No. We're not explicit. We can't talk about politics here.
That's actually true. Yeah, Timmy Howard wasn't in that. You look at that. I mean, you're telling me that the U.S. couldn't put aside those teams? It's really, and like I said, probably second for me would be Ivory Coast. Would be another one, just to probably be second, because like I said, as bad as Chile and Italy's were, they went up against opponents. Again, not saying that Italy shouldn't beat Sweden, should have put them aside.
Okay, can you give me here's my thing about Chile. They just won 2 CONCACAFs. They had a great World Cup run,
but they're
still in their later prime. They're on par, if not better than those teams. It's the fact that they should have made a qualifying spot. I'm sorry, Chile should, if they, because here's the thing, both of us probably had Chile in the run for making a really, I had
Chile quarterfinalists at best.
Seriously?
I'm being honest. I had Chile quarterfinalists at best. Just because, look, with the thing with Chile, they're an aging team.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they play well as a unit, but I look at the other South American teams. I put Colombia on paper ahead of Chile.
Well, I think
I would not
Colombia's some of their youth is really strong right now. They finally working on defense right now. They still have a good goalkeeper in Espina. He's still playing well, even though he's not really getting time at Arsenal.
I mean, yeah. I mean, unless, depending on who Chile plays in the World Cup, I don't see them making it past the quarters. Semifinals, to me, is beyond unrealistic. I don't see semifinals for Chile, and like I said, unless they come up against some really easy matchups, I couldn't see Chile beating any of the big European teams. A team like Spain or Germany, France. I don't think Chile would beat them. I don't think Chile would beat Brazil or. These mics are amazing. Jeez.
We're picking up all the background noise that we don't want to pick up.
These mics are great. Can't believe we got these mics for like nothing too. It's
they're like 60% off.
Oh, it's insane.
We got a steal, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and like I said, second probably was Ivory Coast. For me, it was the biggest embarrassment because Ivory Coast.
Here's my problem with Ivory Coast. Like I know they have a really well-rounded team, but here's my problem. I don't really know who they have for as a goaltender. Like there's other African nation teams that have some pretty young up, like the Cameroonian goalkeeper. They have a really good, solid one. Nigeria has a really, I think very respectable goalie in Anemia, minus the fact that he's a smaller goalkeeper. Who's their goalie? Ivory Coast.
Yeah, they don't have a goalie. It's just
that's my thing. Yeah. I usually you need at least a subpar goalie. Like I can't think of anyone that they have Ivory Coast that's really respectable. And at the same time, you shouldn't count them out for that reason because there are times their goalies played out of their skin. They pulled the goalie version of what Jaccarini did in the Euros.
Yeah.
But that's you need that for qualifiers. You need a goalie to keep them in it to help them grind it out.
No,
that's why I never really counted them in because they were a really well-rounded team, but still, their midfield and defense is really strong.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. I can see where you're coming from with that.
Although their strike force isn't as potent as it used to be.
Well, I think Ivory Coast, again, is another aging country. They used to have the Drugbas and Gervinhos, Wilfred Boney from last tournament.
Gervinho can still play for Ivory Coast. He just doesn't score.
Yeah.
He never scores.
Wilfred Boney's another one, very, very talented player. Kalu? What's his name? What's his first name? I forget. Kalu.
Oh, Salomon Kalou.
Salomon Kalou. Jeez, I butchered that.
Yeah, King Solomon. Religious names.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still playing great for Berlin, though.
Absolutely.
He's doing really well. He's a really well-rounded player, but I think he might have a good World Cup, depending on how well Ivory Coast do. Because he's been rotated a lot. He's coming off the bench, he's starting games.
They're not in the World Cup.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Sorry.
See? Exactly. It's an embarrassment. Exactly. See?
It's you expect these teams to automatically be there. It's my mind just slipped they were in the team.
When you look at Group A and see Russia, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and what was it? You see these teams, you're like, what?
But didn't Saudi Arabia qualify from Asia though? Don't Asia have 2 or 3 automatic spots?
Asia have a few spots now because of the FIFA. Asia, they do much better in the tournaments because they're so amazing. It's more actually, no, we get unbelievable funding from Asia, so let's give you more spots. Okay, no more controversy. Alright, on to... We're gonna get kicked off, man.
No, it's my thing. There's 2 things. There's another thing to take away from that. Is you can say that maybe the Asian teams aren't as good is because they don't have the funding or the opportunity to really develop players. And an argument you can make is now they're at the World Cup, they have a good run, and now they get the money from the World Cup because for all the television rights, and then they could put that into development, and then maybe future on get a team. Look at other teams who are nobodies, but then they have one World Cup run. They take that money, invest it in their program, and then they actually become somebodies.
Who was that?
For instance, you have a lot of the Yugoslavian teams,
like Croatia and whatnot.
Yeah. They've been around, but
Yugoslavia has always been a big team. They were always decent in soccer.
Well, yeah.
I mean, we weren't born obviously till later when they split up and democracy finally hit. But
democracy, yay!
But they were always a powerhouse back in the day. Just
okay, I don't remember that. I wasn't born yet.
One of those things. No, I just remember reading stuff about them and whatnot.
Okay, I don't remember them too much when I was a kid, like in the Euros or the World Cup.
Croatia. I remember Croatia always being a decent side in a tournament.
But here's the thing you have to admit, though. Once Japan, was it Japan, Korea?
Okay, well, let's not even go on about the 2000... Speaking of controversy, 2002 South Korea.
That's not what I'm talking about. But you had teams like Japan... Okay, Japan was basically... Korea, someone had a team in soccer. In terms of... They're based on their own standards.
To be fair, Japan has done a decent job in developing a solid squad. To be fair to Japan.
They've done a very well job. And
they've gone a long way. Yeah.
And they actually have a lot of... It's all those animes that they have. All those soccer animes. No, but like a lot of their talent is developed in the Bundesliga. Like Japan and Germany have like a really good relationship with developing their players.
Yeah.
Like the clubs that they have. Like typically the Japanese players usually go to like mines. Like there's a lot of Japanese players that usually go to the more southern?
Yeah. Do you want vegetables? That's great.
Yeah, but
these mics are so good, man. All right.
We lost all our viewers because of that. They like screw vegetables. No, but like I said, they have a good relationship with them. Like Germany, when the Bundesliga is really heavily investing in the Asian market, so that's why they're trying to bring some more talent over.
Serie A is
doing money there, right?
Serie A is doing a better job in that too now. You look at their market now; they're really
everyone
starting to appeal to the Asian market. Yes, no, but Serie A and Bundesliga have heavily invested in
like there's
developing
like the massive amount of population that Asia has. Like, why wouldn't you venture out in that market?
No, absolutely. I mean...
And they're willing to take the players over.
I'm surprised the Premier League haven't done a better job in that.
It's because they're just so full of themselves for English.
Yeah, like, I'm really surprised the Premier League, of all leagues, haven't taken advantage of that. It's really surprising to me. I don't know.
I just think it's narcissistic of them to be based on my own personal opinion.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, they are arrogant and think they have the best league in the world. I mean, yeah, when you get $100 million each team, it's kind of easy to build a good team.
But
yeah.
The problem with the Premier League, though, is they have put all that money, and then they face other teams in Europe, and like, do they really stack up?
City and Liverpool, yes.
Well, come on, man. Liverpool's first of all always been like a big team.
Yeah.
Same with City is the amount of money they have, and then they have coaches like you have Pep for Man City, and you have Liverpool for Jurgen Klopp. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, not just being unfair.
Well, this is the first time in I think it's like 5 years, or no, a little more than that, since two Italian teams have made it to the quarters. I mean, it's been a long time since two Italian teams made it that far.
It's pretty sad.
So it is kind of sad, but I think it just goes to show that Italian teams are finally starting to develop and do better in the European championships,
the problem with
I guess.
The Italian teams is they stick to the Italian style, and like when they play in Europe, it doesn't work.
No.
It's like when Juventus was playing the 3D, and then they got demolished. Like, what do you expect? It's a different game out there.
Yeah, it's always just, it comes down to stubbornness. Simple as that. It comes down to just stubbornness from the Italian teams. And that's been an issue with them for a while, and I believe that they're starting to get younger managers are starting to come up. Guys like Francesco, Di Francesco, who coaches Roma, a young manager who's given a shot, frankly, in Rome, which wasn't a thing years ago. So now I believe Italy's finally starting to hopefully develop anyways, and realize their mistakes and start giving some young managers some opportunities out there. But
plus, like just like players, they're developing managers early now.
Absolutely, so one of the best, two of the best young managers, Nagelsmann and Tedesco, there in world football right now. Nagelsmann, who's touted to take over Bayern Munich,
which we don't know. Like before Ancelotti. Before Ancelotti was fired, he's supposed to leave anyway for Nagelsmann, but now that he's fired and Heineken's taking there, he's still leaving, but like, what's happening with Nagelsmann? Like, I don't know what's going on with that.
Wasn't it before Nagelsmann was touted to take it before it was even given to Ancelotti? I remember that they touted Nagelsmann.
He was supposed to take it later on. Like,
was that what it was? They were supposed to groom him or something?
I'm pretty sure it was Ancelotti was going to go there and Nagelsmann was going to take... Because I remember that was happening before Ancelotti got fired.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that was another situation too. Bayern did Ancelotti no favors. They gave Pep the checkbook and said, "Here you go. Go ahead, buy everyone you want." And Ancelotti was like, "Yeah, you can have whoever you want within our restrictions."
And so the only thing I can say against that is they open the checkbook for Pep, and then they're like, "Oh crap." They expected a return on that. They expected a return on the investment in the Champions League. And that's a lot of money.
They expected at least one Champions League.
They didn't get that investment. The investment wasn't returned, so they probably overspent and they didn't see they didn't see a profit. That's, if anything, it's more of a business model from Bayern's perspective.
Yep.
You know what? If here's the thing, they're done with Pep, and now they just want a German-speaking manager. They didn't like Ancelotti and they don't like Pep. You know. They didn't like either of them, maybe.
Absolutely, I agree. So anyway, I think Di Francesco doesn't know his best team in Roma. I think that's going to hurt Roma's chances. And yeah, I think it's easy to say that Barcelona and Bayern are pretty much through. They're on their way to the semifinals. It'd be great to see an upset. I can't see that happening. I'd be really surprised if Roma dispatched Barcelona. But we'll see what happens. That's why you gotta play the games.
Hey man, I remember that Milan game against Barcelona where Niang missed that sitter there.
Yeah, hit the post.
Oh, that still hurts. That still hurts, man.
I
feel like that just ruined him. I feel bad for Mbappé. How do you pronounce that? Mbappé
Niang.
Yeah, I feel like just crushed his confidence. He's 17 years old, hits the post in a huge game. I feel like he just regressed ever since that game. And they've always blamed him for that.
Yeah, it's difficult.
And I feel that Roma have the potential to do that. Like, you look at their team, they're a very well-rounded team. So if they play to their strengths, they could hold their own against Barca. Clearly, Barca has the upper advantage, being first in the league. Touting the front line of Lionel Messi, Suarez, and who are they playing?
It's Messi and Suarez. Yeah, they played 4-4-2.
Play the 4-4-2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but they play possession style.
I need to see the tactic book. I don't know how you'd work that. I don't know how you play possession with the flat formation.
It's easy.
Okay, whatever. But I think Roma has a chance. I wouldn't count Roma out, but you're looking at Barcelona to edge them out. Like, Barcelona is clearly the favorite.
Yep.
But you understand, this is the Champions League quarterfinals, right?
Anything can happen.
Yeah, the teams, they're all here for a reason. Well, Sevilla is another story, but
yeah.
Here's the thing: Sevilla actually have a solid team. If Umar was still there, I would say maybe, you know what, I think they'd give Bayern some troubles. But he's at PSG now. Obviously, when PSG got knocked out, but
yeah,
I think that's really the only team I can think of that I think is they're going to be edged out.
Well, he set his team up wrong against Madrid. I mean, he boasted a midfield of Verratti, Rabiot, and Mata, I believe. What were you expecting? You can't put three of the same players out there and expect a win. Verratti was the one bringing the ball up. Why is it Julian Draxler or Lo Celso not in that midfield? Rabiot, Verratti, and Mata Mata's more of a holding midfielder. So okay, granted with the Mata one, but Verratti and Rabiot are very similar players. So
it's just Verratti with Rabiot, he's not much of a passer. He's more of an engine, and he's quicker and he's bigger.
Who, Rabiot, you mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah. I was gonna say Verratti's not quick.
He's more of an engine player who's really well-rounded defensively, and he has a good passing game.
Yes, but that's where you need a guy like Julian Draxler or, like I said, Lo Celso in there to go forward and be that creative force, which Verratti's a better deep-lying playmaker. Like, he will get forward, of course, Verratti, and he will cause problems getting forward with his dribbling and spectacular ability. But Draxler causes more of a threat, and I was actually really surprised to not see Draxler starting, but it was what it was. And, I mean, the loss of Neymar doesn't help, but realistically, with or without Neymar, it was such a tough fixture to begin with. I thought PSG could have edged them out, but then once they lost Neymar, I think that was just the end of it. So, anyways, final two. So we're saving Madrid.
We barely touched up on any of them. We kept on getting sidetracked.
Well, realistically, there isn't much to talk about with Bayern, Sevilla, and Roma and Barcelona, right? I mean, they're pretty much locked up.
The only thing that I think is important to me is I think Nainggolan is going to be one of their focal players for Roma. He's the player. He's the anchor for that midfield. He's an engine. He runs all over the field. He has a good defensive game. He's a crazy attacker. You get the team motivated, pumped up. He's a proper leader for that Roma team, right?
I agree.
You can. There's not really much to say about everyone else. Like Alisson, he's having a great season this year.
If Alisson keeps him in it,
I wouldn't be surprised if Alisson keeps him in it.
If Alisson keeps him in it,
because he's done that all season for them in the Serie A.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you doubt? I wouldn't doubt it if he did it for Champions League. The only difference is he hasn't been given the opportunity to show himself yet. So this could be his time to shine, right?
All of Europe's going to see how good Alisson is. Watch him concede 7 goals. He's amazing. He's conceded 7 goals.
Hey man, he needs to get ready for next time they play Germany.
Well, they're saying that he could. I don't think he'll start, but they're saying he could be the starting goaltender for Brazil. I think Ederson starts though over Alisson.
I think. Here's the thing with Ederson. Ederson's played in Europe for several years, and he's demonstrated that consistency.
Yeah.
Alisson, he came from Brazil. He sat on the bench, played behind Wojciech Szczesny for a year. He had a couple games. The first little bit, he wasn't playing too well. But he's having a tremendous year. I can understand why he may not play Alisson, but if Alisson plays at this consistency, he could overtake Ederson by the next big tournament. You know?
I 100% agree with that.
And also, actually, wait, no. There's actually a few things about Roma that could be a deciding factor. It's really who they play, because they're still playing Perotti on the wing.
Di Francesco, like I said, I don't think he knows his best team. I don't think he knows who his best team is. He consistently changes it around. He plays either Strootman or Gonalongs at CDM, and I don't think Strootman is a CDM. I don't think he wants to play as a CDM.
No.
So I think that's your issue right there. I think you line up Gonalongs or De Rossi, and then realistically, wherever you play Florenzi, right, he's been playing right wing or right mid, or right wing or right back. You play him at right back, play Kolarov at left, Manolas, and probably Fazio, probably starting 4 defense. Alisson, obviously. Probably either going to play De Rossi if he's fit or Gonalongs. And you probably go with Pellegrini, probably Strootman, to be honest.
Yeah. And
then top three is an interesting one.
You're saying that considering Nainggolan doesn't play the first game.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If Nainggolan's injury is
as a false 9 again against Barca.
If Nainggolan's healthy, then yeah, Nainggolan starts with probably Strootman and Gonalongs in that midfield 3, and then from then on you could probably have Under, the Dzeko and El Shaarawy or Perotti on the left.
My thing is with Di Francesco, maybe that he's young. he might play Under, but given the fact that there's this such great conservatism in Italy and how they play, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't start Under.
I wouldn't actually at all.
It's like when Milan played Juventus and he takes off Andre Silva and he puts on Kalinic. It's like you have a player who's showing energy, lively. He's playing beyond his years with maturity, and is going to be an absolute stud later on. He's 20? What you said, 20 goals in all competitions at 19 years old.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, the only argument you can say for him is he needs a rest. You're not going to play him, but that's a big game for Juve. Why aren't you resting him for Juve? Given that argument,
yeah, it was an interesting one.
You have players that are playing well. Give them an opportunity. Like I'd understand to certain maybe because here's the thing: when they're playing Barca, I can understand for the left wing because you have more of an experienced defensive fullback in Kolarov. But then you have imagine you have Under. I haven't seen Roma play too much. I don't know how Under is this defensive game. But say he loses the ball, tries to get by a player, and then Florenzi is left alone, and Florenzi is more of a attacking fullback, and he gets caught off guard, and then they concede because of that. That's something I can understand. So maybe they decide to play Florenzi in center mid and play someone else's right back, someone more experienced, if they do play Under. But I'm just thinking about Under and Florenzi is really risky for Barcelona. You need, if anything, they're going to play Sherrari or something like that on the right, which I wouldn't play him on the right anyway. But
Sherrari's played on the right a few times this year, so I can see Sherrari playing on the right.
But to play at his best, you need to play him on his left. If anything, Perotti can play on the right wing too.
Yeah, Perotti could play right wing.
He has a better weak foot. He's much more rounded than Sherrari is in his game.
No, absolutely. I think Sherrari brings that pace and electricity to the game. But Perotti is not. He's a more well-rounded player, like you said. He's more complete. Not that he's slow, but he's got great weak foot.
He's just
good
more
passing
versatile.
Ability. What's up?
He's more versatile.
Yeah, absolutely more versatile for sure. It'll be interesting. I don't know. It's going to be interesting with Roma and Barca. I think having Roma play at home, if they don't concede against Barca, anything goes. But I mean, going back to the Camp Nou is always a difficult one. Or sorry, is it this is Camp Nou, right?
Yeah. I think I would not, if they can get past the final third, I think Dzeko has a realistic chance of scoring against Barca. Because he's going up against Piqué and Umtiti, who are I'm so mature, who are they're more, they're better dealing at quicker teams. Like Umtiti is a more of a pacier defender, but they're not really bulky. They don't really do well against bigger strikers.
No. So
Dzeko has a fair chance if he gets a really good ball played to him. It wouldn't be unrealistic to see him score, but then you have Ter Stegen, at the net and see what he does. But Roma actually have a fair chance in this. Again, Barca are still the clear favorites, but there are some real possibilities for Roma to make a name of their own in this game.
First leg's going to determine a lot. If they walk out of there 0-0, I think you walk out of there happy if you're a Roma. But it's going to be tough keeping Barca off the scoreboard. Chelsea failed at it. We'll see how Roma fare in that one. Okay, so you want to do City, Liverpool, and then we'll end with Madrid and Juve?
I think that's the game I'm most excited for, City, Liverpool. It's probably going to be a snooze fest, because it won't be a snooze fest, but I think one of the ways you beat Klopp, which showed time and time again when he's played in Premier League and he's played from Dortmund, Klopp thrives off a counter-attack game.
Mm-hmm.
If you play conservative and don't give him the ball, Klopp does not do well. His teams don't do well when they have to build up. Usually his teams do much better when they're on the counterattack, or they can, what they do in the Premier League, which makes them successful, is they kind of lead the other team on and they attack and they just, again, pounce and counter. And here's the thing, Pep's probably, I don't know, it's really all down to Pep learned his lesson, just like last time. He just was stubborn.
Yeah, I think one thing Liverpool's got going for him is they beat Man City earlier this season.
Oh yeah,
and not many teams have managed to do that. So
and they beat them well too.
Yeah, with 4-1 or 4-2 or something like that.
I think it was
4-2. They beat them by a bit, and it's something that not many teams have been able to do. I think City have lost 2 or 3 games all season. I mean, it's not easy to beat Manchester City. Napoli didn't have a very good, fun, easy time with it in the Champions League. And you look at Liverpool, I think of all the teams, I truly 100% mean this, of all the teams that City could have gone up against, I think Liverpool was the one team that had a really good chance of beating City. Over Real Madrid and over Barcelona and Juventus, I think Liverpool has a realistic chance of beating City. Just because their style of play counteracts Manchester City so well that they can cause them a lot of issues. No one has that much pace up front. No one has the pace to hurt City that much, other than Liverpool. Mm-hmm. No one does. Barcelona doesn't have that pace. Madrid, maybe.
Depends on how they line up the team.
Juventus, to be fair, have lightning quick pace in Cuadrado, Costa, and Dybala.
But here's the thing: they don't counter the way that Klopp's teams counter.
Klopp's team is unbelievable in the counter,
and the way that they play too. Like when you talk about Juventus and the pace that they have, Higuaín isn't as versatile as Firmino. Firmino not just can score, but he can play his wingers in. Higuaín's more of a poacher. Like, he can play as the players once in a while, but he's more of a goal scorer. I was going to say
Higuaín can hold up play.
No, I'm not saying that he can't, but if you can compare the two, Firmino's going to do a lot more damage.
Well, Firmino works harder than Higuaín, right? Firmino will run to the winger to be an option. As of Higuaín will be like, hey, give me the ball, we'll go from there. Firmino will put the effort in and work really hard, which is
then he has the talent and ability to match it.
No, absolutely, 100%. So their top 3 is going to be massive trouble for City, and it's already been this year when they did a number on them earlier on in the season. I think they have a very good chance of knocking City out. I really do. I think if Liverpool can get their defensive issues out of the way, which they've been better in the league so far. They haven't been great, but they've been better.
And here's the thing too: it's everyone's like it's different in Europe, but at the same time they're facing a team that they know well.
Yeah,
facing a team in their own league, so it's not going to be as much of a challenge for Liverpool as it normally would be. The only thing is the expectations hurled on top of them. Because there aren't too many players in that Liverpool team that have dealt with that sort of experience. That aren't that kind of that tier of player.
Yeah, I mean this City team is truly unbelievable. They really are, and I'm not a big fan of Pep and whatnot, but he's done an unbelievable job with the City team. They on their day can put any team aside. They are a really strong side and a lot of depth in positions. I mean, could you imagine going to your bench and being able to bring on Gabriel Jesus or a guy like Gundogan in the midfield?
He doesn't start. Well, it's Silva and De Bruyne.
That's what I'm saying. Say if you were to take off like a David Silva and bring on like a Gundogan. Could you imagine having that luxury of just doing that? Just throwing on a guy like that. Just be like, you know what? It's not working out. Gundogan, go on there for Silva. Or hey, Jesus, you're on for Aguero. I mean, that is unbelievable to me that they have that much depth. Mm-hmm. And it's
in all fairness, give credit to Pep for actually rotating his team more this year. That's one of his biggest flaws at Bayern. He hardly rotated his team, and his team suffered for it.
I think he learned. Well, here's the thing: you didn't have a choice in the Premier League.
Yeah, you don't. You
don't have a choice. If you don't rotate your team, you're not going to have a team come the end of the year. So he pretty much had to do that.
That's actually one of the things I'm worried about with Liverpool. They've been playing Salah a little too much. So he could be he could not be at his best come Wednesday, and when they play City, right?
Yeah,
which is I'm sorry, he's one of your best players, and not to rely on too much because they still have Mane and they still have other players.
Yeah.
But like when you have your guy who's at a tear, he's going for the record in the Premier League in terms of goals in the season, right?
He's got 28, so he's up there.
Yeah,
he's up there in goals. It's a difficult situation for Liverpool because you want to make the top 4 for Champions League, but you want to compete in the Champions League, so it's tough. It is, because realistically, who they have on that right side to play over Salah? Not many options. So
play Sturridge there.
It's Sturridge at West Brom, man.
Oh my god, I'm so out of the loop. I'm not following the Premier League at all. It just got boring for me. He's actually at West Brom?
He's at West Brom. You know what? The Premier League is an entertaining... It's slowly developing to an entertaining league.
Well, now that you have more like international managers actually playing soccer, like before, it was just all the Premier League was like, let's kick the ball up the field and have pace. That's literally all it was. Now it's actually takes skill, and they're working on passing. They're finally the federation's like, maybe we should actually care about our youngsters, not try to buy out every league.
Well, you know what's funny too, because you made that statement where the team in Champions League who have had the best fullbacks have won the Champions League. The team who have actually had a midfield have always won the Premier League. So midfield is becoming more and more instrumental in the Premier League, which never was a thing. Mm-hmm. Realistically, midfield players weren't as big as many other leagues. And I know there's some Prem fans out there being like, oh, you're an idiot. You know what you're talking about. No, actually, really think about it. I mean, the Premier League, when you went through a league and thought of the best midfielders in the world, you didn't think of the Premier League. A lot of times you thought of Serie A, La Liga, Bundesliga, and Premier League was probably somewhere in there, or even fourth in midfield-wise. So more and more midfield is becoming important. The last 3 teams that won the Premier League have had decent midfielders. Mm-hmm. And it's becoming important. So it's good to see that the Premier League is becoming better, and they're actually properly developing their youth now in England. So we still have to look forward to in the next couple of years. See if we can hit that golden age, which many people are really hoping we can hit.
I think with the level of talent coming up right now, I see the potential for a golden age. You know, I remember people were like people praise Ronaldo and Messi and all that, but my thing is, if Ronaldo and Messi were at their prime at the same time as Henry and those other players, would they be the players that they are now? Because the defense isn't as good as it used to be. The players that they had to play against, the level of goalkeeping was different, the style of play was different. It was just a different game. Like, you know, a lot of the defenders, all the defenders, it's more offensive now. They're working on their ball control. They're working on moving the ball up the field, their passing game. A lot of defenders, one of their main focal points isn't that defending as it used to be. So, like, if they played back in the day, would they be the same players? At the same time, you can also make the point that playing against, like, you know, better defenders would have improved their game, improved their potential, because they would have faced more of a challenge, or they could have evolved more as players. Is another thing you can say, but you know, you can't compare generations.
No,
you know, and
the days of the Cannavaros and the Carlos Puyols are done. It is. You can't be. What's not? You can't be a defensive center back now, but you have to be an all-around center back. The days of like the Bonucci's and the honestly, even John Stones, he's becoming an all-around center back. Guys like those, guys like Jerome Boateng, Thiago Silva,
Zula is going to be one of those players.
Zula is going to be one of those players, absolutely. Rugani, he's having a tough time right now because Rugani is a defensive center back, and he's not a complete center back. He can't pass the ball and build up the pitch. He can't string those passes together, and he's hurting Juventus because of it. So he's got to tune his game. He's got to develop and learn those traits, but it'll come. It'll happen.
Imagine when he does. You match that with his current defensive capabilities.
Yeah.
He'd be easily one of the best center backs in the world if he keeps it going.
Being a defensive center back, being a center back who can defend is no longer, the criteria. You have to be a well-rounded, good defender. You have to be able to control the ball. You have to be able to pass the ball up the pitch. You have to be able to look around your surroundings and be able to pick out a pass every once in a while. And it's becoming and you have to be quicker. You can't be slow anymore. The game, slower players are slowly dying out of the game and becoming less effective because of it. Because the game is becoming faster.
And the only players that I think will survive are the ones that are just highly intelligible. The only players that will survive that are that slow need to have a great mind that can read the game. That's the only thing that's going to keep them in it. But even then, there's still a disadvantage.
What was that? Sorry, what would you say?
No, I was thinking about players that are really slow, but they have think of players like Philip Lahm. Say, he wasn't the quickest fullback, but he read the game in and out. Players like him aren't going to do in this day and age. But the thing that kept him, made him what he is how he understood the game. Same with Kimmich. That's going to be one of his things. That's why I praise Niklas Süle so high. He's an incredibly intelligent player. He can keep up with strikers that are 5 times as quick as he is.
Yeah,
because he knows how to position himself, but he still gets beat because of that weakness in terms of his physical speed.
Yeah, no, exactly. Guys like Kimmich's becoming quicker.
If he's working on his speed. He's actually carrying out the position.
Yeah, he's becoming way quicker, Kimmich. But yeah, no, it is. It's slowly becoming, these guys that were slow and in the midfield are slowly becoming irrelevant. Pun, I guess you could say. Slowly becoming irrelevant, and guys that are quick, but it's not just guys that are quick. It's guys that are quick and can dribble like Zidane's. I mean, you look at these players coming up, like guys like Gelson Martins. It's ridiculously quick. He's lightning quick. Or Leon Bailey. They're lightning quick. But their ball control and dribbling is unbelievable. I mean, they can create anything out of nothing on the field. And you're noticing it more and more. Guys like Isco with unbelievable dribbling like that is just taking over the game. And their ability to simply create this massive chance from nothing. It's something that you didn't see a lot of 5 years ago.
But there's a reason why you didn't see a lot of that 5 years ago. First of all, it's a different game. But you also need to factor in the technology that we have. We have technology in terms of fitness. Now we have technology in terms of training. We have better dietary, so people have longer careers. There's better rehabilitation. There's better conditioning. These allowing players to, work on their physical fitness more. There's things that now we have tools. Like beforehand, how would you really train on working your, getting better ball control or dribbling? You normally just had a knack of it. Now they have technology out there that can actually make you better than you have the potential to be.
Yeah.
It's a different game. That's why it's evolving as well, right?
All right, on to the final matchup because my back is starting to bother me now. We gotta get bigger mic stands, man. All right, or at least set up somewhere else where we can sit down on chairs at least.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the final matchup, and probably the biggest matchup out of the four, Madrid and Juventus. What a matchup that is tomorrow too.
My thing is, you saw the way that Juventus played against Milan, and you look at the way that they played. I think Madrid has it in the bag. Because Allegri hasn't learned. He's still stubborn. And that's one of the things that's been the downfall of most of his teams is stubbornness. And he's like, you look at Milan the first half, then they played against Juventus. Milan stuck it to Juventus. It's like for the first like half, and like up to the 60th minute, they started making subs. They took off Kalinic for Silva. The only reason that Juventus won is because Milan took the foot off the gas. And you can say maybe that is one of their advantages, because that's something that Zidane does. He's more of a conservative tactician.
Yeah.
So if Zidane plays more conservative and trying to ride out the game, then Juventus has the upper hand. But
Juventus has a knack for winning games they don't deserve to win, but they have a knack for winning games that they're not in. I mean, that game against Milan, I don't know many other teams that could have scraped that point at the end, but it's just something Juventus does time and time again. There was a game earlier this year against Lazio. They played abysmal. We watched it. The Dybala got a 91st or 92nd minute winner.
Oh, Lazio should have had that game in the bag.
Those are the difference makers. It's moments like that. Against Tottenham, they looked down and out. They had no shot. They looked done. They looked absolutely done. And out of nowhere, they get 2 goals from pretty much nothing in the 2 goals inside 60, 70 minutes, and they win. They go on to win. Mm-hmm. And you look at that and you're like, what the heck just happened? But it's those different makers, those guys like Higuain, Dybala, Cuadrado in his pace, and Douglas Costa. Guys like those that can make the difference. Now, Madrid, on the other hand, have guys like that as well. Guys like Asensio, Ronaldo, obviously, Benzema.
We forgot the most important thing. Buffon, he's been revitalized, man. He shaved his beard and he looks like a young boy again.
Buffon. At 40 years young, I guess you can say. Gianluigi Buffon.
They're resting him more. That's probably why he has more energy.
Yeah. Well, they finally have a capable backup. Szczesny, because look, no offense to Neto, but Neto was not the guy to go in and steal you a game every once in a while. Neto was not that guy. Guys like Szczesny, who are probably starters for some mid-table teams, are the type of guys who can go in there and win you games. And that's why Pepe Reina looks like he's going to join Milan next season. Because guys like that are who you want. When you look at Milan's rotation right now, take Donnarumma out, who are you going to play? He has to start. He's the only guy. No one else is going to steal you a game. So, it's becoming... Backup goaltenders are becoming more and more important in soccer.
Just rotation in general. Like, look how strong Bayern are this year. Like, they were struggling under Pep and under Ancelotti. And you notice one thing that with both teams is that they don't rotate. You look at a lot of European teams, they struggle because they have poor rotation. One thing, I didn't even know this, but Heinkes has won 11 Champions Leagues. If I remember an article that I read. So maybe if that information is correct, because he used to coach at Real Madrid and other teams.
He's won 11 Champions Leagues?
Yeah. You should fact check that.
11, that sounds like a lot.
You should fact check that.
That sounds like so much.
That might be told with his career as a player, but
that would actually make sense if that was the case.
But but you look at his teams, he rotates very well. He makes sure he has depth. Bayern have depth, and here's the thing about Juventus: they have the depth, but now they're starting to rotate. So they have a massive amount of depth in midfield. Like, oh my God, you have Blaise Matuidi, you have Sami Khedira, you have Claudio Mercuzio, you have Marlon Pjanic, you have all these players that can play in midfield. They have depth in the wing. You can put on the wing. You have Juan Cuadrado. You have what's his face there.
The only thing that comes up with 11th is wins record-breaking 11th successive UEFA Champions League game.
Oh. Okay, I must have misunderstood that.
11 Champions League sounds like a lot.
Okay, then I debunked myself. Don't trust me anymore. No, but what was I saying? Then they also have on the left wing. They can play Douglas Costa. They can slot in Alexandra if they wanted to. They have fullback depth. They have center back depth. You know what? And they even against Milan, they had the depth to rotate their team. Same with Madrid. Madrid did the same thing. They had the depth to rotate their team. They barely played any of their starters against Las Palmas. They played this weekend.
Madrid, yes.
You know, so it's like it's gonna be an interesting match. You're gonna have Ronaldo who's fresh, or Ronaldo's just gonna want to just like have his way with them because he's like, I didn't get to play. He's gonna be hungry for some goals, you know. And I don't know, like, but here's the thing: they have, you can turn in terms of experience and better goaltending. I'd still say Buffon is a better goalie, and I think he can be the difference maker. And the fact that he's getting more rest, he's gonna be more focused. He's going to be, you know, more physically fit, and I think he can steal. He could be. I think he's one of the biggest difference makers for Juve at this point, because he has, you know, he can play those big games. With Real Madrid, they have what's his face? I always forget. Who's Madrid's goalie again?
Madrid's goalie Navas.
He's a Costa Rica.
Navas. Keylor Navas. Yeah.
He's a really exceptional goalie, but like one of his faults is that, you know, one thing is his size. I think size in the goalkeeper is important. You want at least a 6'3" frame as a goalie. Anything less, I feel like you're at a disadvantage unless you have exceptional positioning and reflexes. So I think 6'3" is like your standard that you want, right?
Yeah, they're more and more so getting away from the smaller goaltenders, and you see guys like Donnarumma and Courtois who are like 6'5", taking over now in world football.
Yeah, but and like I said, now again beforehand, it wasn't easy as guys like that to be agile, and again you have the technology to work in that.
It's unbelievable the agility Donnarumma has at 6'5". It really is. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a giant, and he's diving across the net like, what the heck?
No, but like I'm trying to make the point is that as good as a goalkeeper is, it sounds unfair to him, but he's not top tier. He's world class, but he's not top tier.
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine, like, you look at teams. I think that's going to be one of Bayern's big. We forgot to mention that Sven Ulreich. Like, he's been really coming to his own this year, but who's to say he could be the one player that kind of is the weak link for Bayern, right? But obviously, Navas is much better than Ulreich, but you look at that, and I'd say he's one of the weaker points for that Madrid side, you know, because Juventus have a lot of big players, so honestly, if anything, they could just put a corner or free kick in the box, and that could win the game for them, you know?
Guy like Benassi or Collini, right?
And, you know, Madrid, I think what could really set them apart, and if they want to continue this run of Champions League, I think they just need a new goalie. I think were they trying to, no, someone else, who's trying to pick up from Atletico Madrid there?
Oblak? A lot of teams are interested. PSG is interested in Oblak, Arsenal's interested in Oblak, a lot of teams.
Like, and that's, I feel really bad for saying that, because Navas has, you know, kept them in a lot of games, but he's getting up there in age, and his body can't move the way that it used to.
Absolutely.
And, like, the team's been struggling this year. You know, they're trying to find the right formation, players are play out of position. Madrid isn't the team, like, Ronaldo's getting old, believe it or not.
Yeah.
You know, not playing, he's been on fire lately, you know, but, again, I don't think Madrid's the team to, you know, make it to the final again this year. And I think Juventus has a realistic chance of pushing past through them, even though they didn't even deserve it to make it to this point in the first place. Like, Spurs had it over them.
It was a tough one. It was certainly a tough one for Spurs. But I think even if Madrid does beat Juve, I'd be really surprised to see Madrid win Champions League this year. It's tough because they still have an excellent team. But I think when you look at the favorites, frankly, I think Bayern are favorites. I think Bayern under Heineken is just another machine right now.
Mm-hmm.
They look really good. So, all right, well, let's do. I guess we'll do our first. Let's do predictions. I guess we can do some predictions and we'll wrap it up.
Well, for the first round.
First leg,
who's going to get through? Who's going to get through in the first round? So there's 2 legs. The first leg, I mean.
You want to do first leg? You want to do another second leg recap, or do you want to do like?
Well, because here's the thing: based on the first leg, it can determine a lot of things. Things can change. Players can get injured.
Absolutely. Okay, first leg it is. First leg it is. All right. So, Sevilla Bayern. I say Bayern wins 2-0. I'll just say 2-0 because it's in Sevilla, right? First game, so I'll say 2-0.
I'd say maybe 3-1, 2-1. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Sevilla scored a goal because Ben Yedder's, he's putting a lot of individualistic efforts, and they still have a solid team there. They have individual talent. They just the coaching.
Yeah, no, I could agree with that. All right, I say 2-0 Bayern. I'm actually I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna say Roma walks out 0-0. Roma walks out without conceding against Barca. It probably won't happen, but I think they can. I say they walk out there for a 0-0 tie.
If anything, I can see. I see Roma scoring.
1-0 Roma?
I think 1-1. 1-1. Roma is going to score. I think Roma's going to score. They have they have the advantage. Like if Dzeko starts, I think they score.
Okay, 1-1 it is. Fair enough.
You're actually supposed to go to Real Madrid. Are we going based on the difficulty ratings based on our predictions?
Well,
I thought we're going to do it based in order of the matches.
Yeah, and then no, we'll just do that. We did Roma, and then let's do Liverpool City, and we'll finish up the way we started.
Liverpool City.
Liverpool wins. I think Liverpool wins the first game. It's in Liverpool. I think Liverpool takes it 2-1. I think Liverpool can honestly take it at home. Back at City is going to be a different story. Back at Manchester is going to be a different story. But I think Anfield is just... The crowd is just going to lift Liverpool in that first game.
I'm probably going to be wrong, but I'm just going to say 3-2. I think there's going to be goals in this game. I think I'm calling 3-2 Liverpool for either the home game for Liverpool or the away game for Liverpool. So one of my predictions are probably both going to be wrong. But I predict a goal fest. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game, and you know what? Pep might leak goals due to his stubbornness, but may learn and overtake it and, maybe earn himself 2 more goals at the end like he did last time.
Yeah.
So it's 4-0, and then he pulled 2 goals. So it really depends on how he starts his team. And if he like I said, you just sit back against Klopp. That's his kryptonite.
Yeah.
Don't be swayed into attack. Just sit back, let them come at you, then you hit them on the counter. Pep's team has more than has the ability to do that. If they play that game, I see City winning. But my thing is, Pep is still really stubborn. He hasn't completely, gone. He hasn't come to that realization yet. So, the Liverpool is going to win.
All right, and then final game, I say Madrid and Juventus. I will say, because it's in Torino, the first game. I'm struggling. I want to see either 1-1 or 2-2. 1-1 or 2-2. I'm thinking. I'll say 2-2 because I think Juve can put goals in, but I think Madrid will hit them on the counter and probably put in a few goals as well. So I'll say 2-2 the first leg.
I think Juventus is going to win this one too. I still think Real Madrid is going to come out and beat them, but I think Juventus is going to beat them 2-1. My thing is, I think Zidane's again. He's going to play more conservative against them, and that's Juventus. They play well when teams attack and when teams defend against them. They always manage to pull a win.
Yep.
So if I think they play more defensive, Juventus would just play against that because they can break down teams slowly if they want to. And they can counter well. Like, they can do things, Yeah, I think Juve has the ability to beat Real Madrid this game, 2-1.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we'll just wrap it up from there. This podcast was way longer than we wanted it to be, but
way off topic from what we're supposed to talk about.
You know what, though? I don't think that's so much the issue, but I do believe we need points and probably need estimation times. I think that's a good way to go about it from now on.
It's not wrong going off topic, but when we're talking more about other things than the focal point of the podcast, I think that's an issue.
All right, that'll be it, guys. We'll look to do a Europa League preview on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, I guess enjoy the rest of the night. And thanks for listening to the podcast.
Bye now.